Hello there, everybody. This is Happy Valley Hobbies, and these are hobbies that make me happy. Uh, Followers have been of this particular channel will know that I've been unemployed for a while. However, starting tomorrow, I start a new job. It's not paying as much as I would like, but at the same time, my commute is less than a 2-minute walk away. Possibly even 3. If I take my time getting there. So since I'm not using, not needing to use my vehicle, I guess that's a good thing. And I start tomorrow. The sad thing is that it's second shift. That means I will not be able to be in any of the live chats during the weekdays, Monday through Friday. I could probably still hop on a live chat during the weekends, and doesn't change the schedule here. So that's that. But that's the exciting news for me, I guess. I'm still tweaking things and all that, and as you notice, over time with the new computer, I've been going lower and lower and lower. So the bottom here, the bottom of this actually is within below the camera. Looks like I might still have to fiddle around with how close it is, because you can still see way in the corner there the workbench. That's why when I change camera angles and all that, the camera is basically right there. And also with the new computer, I can actually use the webcams that I have properly. With the older computer, there was these interference lines because it was, it happened to be just at the right frequency that it was causing the interference lines. But apparently the new computer is running fast enough that there is no interference lines. So that's a good thing. Let's see. This time I remembered having the phone with me. Let's show this. Yes, it shows this. Alright, turn this on. Live chat. Show this. Yes. Probably turn the sound off so I can get the chat on this without having to remind myself that, I need to look to the side. Not quite sure what the plan is for tonight. Having to realize that I gotta change my schedule now, because normally my schedule is, I'm a morning person, so I alarm goes on, boom, I go. Not sure how it's going to work on second shift. It might wind up. I know after work I'll be probably walking in, taking off shoes and onto the bed. But other than that, not sure how it's going to go. But yeah, it looks like I got to move the camera in because the camera width is all, so I can actually, not only see the workbench over here, but also the cabinet that's over here. So I usually have this is on wheels, so I can sort of like push it away and all that. But if I don't push it away enough, this actually has my machine tools. I got a lathe and a drill press. But I haven't really been using them because, well, it's a carpeted floor. Probably something I shouldn't be doing. Okay, the interesting thing is yes, they're both showing Let's see. Chat filter, all messages. So it looks like there's someone else in here. Not sure if it's a bot or someone who's really shy and just is lurking. Anything is possible. I mean, that's the thing is with now with I think with AI, it's like all of a sudden it's like, are you actually, is it just a bot that's watching? Now it says 5. So, well, hello there, Valleys. Thank you for coming in. So we know at least one person now that just joined us. And Dan's model railroading journey. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, because the way things, last week have been I would have to say surprisingly nice. Is what had happened is that I've been going through a deco, and a deco turned around and said, it's like the last time I was there, which was, I want to say, Monday or Tuesday, I forgot which. But I walked in. So, oh no, it's like we have nothing right now, and now that it's winter time and all that, things are slowing down. So what I did is that it's like, all right, well, I'll just go the north side of Bennington. Ooh, Mantua Camelback and a Lima Mikado for 15 quid. Nice. It's one of those things of, for me, I would have to say I like Mantua, the old Athen Blue Box, and what was the third one? Well, I guess the model die casting. Not model die cast. Yeah, it was model die casting, but it was called Roundhouse, which is now owned by Athearn, which is not the same Athearn there as the Blue Box era. But yeah, I have actually, since most of my stuff is mostly older and all that, I haven't actually done anything with the quote new Athearn stuff. But then again, most new Athearn stuff is not my era, so I have no opinion or experience with the Horizon Athearn. But I would have to say, Dan and Valleys, you missed my announcement that starting tomorrow, I start a new job. The interest, it's not as much as I would like per hour, but at the same time, it's also it's a 2-minute walk away, so I'm not using my vehicle, so it just makes more it just seems more resident. Oh, I thank you, Valleys. But it's basically, from what I understand, it's a painting job. So my assumption is I'm mixing the paint and all this, that, and etc., painting the stuff, and I'm assuming throwing it into a dryer or oven to dry things out. That's my assumption. This is also the thing is, Mac Molding, where I'm at, they had 2 plants. The reason why I'm in Vermont is because I got hired by headquarters, which is about 7/10 of a mile away. But that's a little bit. And the thing is that when you're only 7/10 of a mile away from where you're working at, during the wintertime, your vehicle doesn't really get hot enough to get all the moisture out of the vehicle. and also the might not warm completely up the oil in the vehicle either. So it's not very good for the vehicle. Uh, as I said earlier, my new commute is basically maybe a 5-minute walk. So I don't have to use the vehicle at all. Only basically Sunday mornings, going to church. That's about it, because the religious group I go to is the Religious Society of Friends, normally known as Quakers. And their closest one is in Bennington, which is about a good 15 miles away. So it's enough to exercise the vehicle once a week. The disadvantage is that it is a second shift, so you will not. Oh, hello there, Monsville Railways. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, well, I know in the United States there's like 4 different flavors of Quakerism, which I get the impression is different than the British. So it's the variation that I subscribe to is called liberal, which is sort of almost a do-it-yourself religion. I mean, there's times that it's the disadvantage is that there's times it's like hey, I need help. What would you do in this situation? Yeah, after I would sort of kind of agree with that, Dan, but the thing is that my apartment's all on one level, so there are technically no stairs. Well, if you want to count the 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 stairs out the front porch, that's about it. So, okay, understood. And well, and the thing is that my new job is also second shift, so I will not be in the chats of weekday live streams. I get out of work at 11, and most of the live streams are pretty much done by that time. 9 feet from my computer. Nice. Well, the way I was thinking about trying to, I was looking for jobs that I would be working at home and all that. And I'm not quite sure if I would be able to do that. It's nice to get out of the house. But that's just my thought on that process. Nice. Yeah, it's like a lot of I do. I think there's a lot of people in the chats that work from home, I believe. That some people can do it, some people can't. Technically, I could. I live by myself, so I don't have to worry about an extra noise. I don't have any pets, so I don't have to worry about having a surprise co-host. But one of the once I start getting actual paychecks and all that, I'm gonna have to. All right, Monsville, thank you for coming in, and don't work too hard. Gotcha. Yeah, sometimes actually that's probably one thing I should be contemplating on doing, is taking some of the stuff that I don't see I don't foresee using again, I should say. I do have a lot of stuff that's sort of like in the 1950s area. I might see about trying to sell that off. I also have some things that are streetcar related, but I don't know if I want to go back to streetcars. or just stick with um, the the, the wider gauge. That's one of the things of since I got everything on modules and all that, I can sort of uh trying to think now. Somebody mentioned that it's like rubber gauging. It's like they're doing you know standard gauge, 3 foot gauge, 2 foot gauge, the 30-inch gauge. It's like and you know all these different layouts with different setups. Uh, I would have to say with a new job, I'm a morning person, so it's like the alarm goes off, get dressed and go. This way, I know when I get back home from work, walk in the door, kick off the shoes, coat, and just hit the sack. But usually by that time, I'm gonna have to tell my new boss. It's like, I'm like, well, it's like I'm not used to second shift. By the end of the shift, I probably might be pretty much fried. Don't know, but we'll have to see how well it goes. I don't know how long this job is going to last because I am a temp. And if there's an economic downturn, guess who gets laid off first? That's another reason why I'm not too quite happy with the situation. But it worked well last time with a deco. Maybe JJ Young, it'll be just as good. I just don't know. Right now, I would have to say the layout is wired up. Went to the local NMRA meeting last Friday, which I told them because of my new job, I cannot go to a Friday night meeting anymore because that'll be right in the middle of where I'm working. I know they every now and then they do have like a Saturday setup, which that I'd be able to go to. 1 month from now, there's the Great Train Extravaganza. So if anyone is in the, I don't think there's many people here that are in the Albany, New York area, but the Great Train Extravaganza is normally I would say it's on the first Sunday of November, but since Sunday is basically 2 days after Thanksgiving, they move it to the next week, so there's not as much as a conflict, which it makes sense that way, because if it winds up being the second, then it winds up being about a week behind or over a week behind, so there's not that the holidays are not next to each other. So got that. Okay. The look like my chat on StreamYard bounced around on me, but I'm not quite sure if it's anticipation, the anticipation of starting a new job or what, but I'm just not in the mood tonight to. I know I've hit a roadblock with the locomotive. I'm hoping to have the locomotive running by the Great Train Extravaganza, but if it's not, it's not. But the layout is up and wired. I mean, theoretically, I could probably test the standard gauge, which would be pretty easy because that's technically only 2 tracks: the main line and the selector plate. The idea behind this is that it's June 1876. The decision has been made to standardize the line. And they have gotten to the point of pretty much the main line, and they're in the process of starting to do the yards, adding that extra rail, figuring out how things are supposed to be lined up and all that. Yeah, I mean, there's times that if you're not in the mood, it's probably a smarter idea not to do anything or do something completely different. Um, yeah, because I want, it's one of those things of you want to make sure that it's, especially a locomotive. The locomotive is moving and all that. The track is relatively easy. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I usually, when it comes to making people moderators, unlike uh, unlike Anthony Dodge, I know when he sees somebody that's new, it's like, oh, I'm going to make you a moderator. It's one of those things of that's what I sort of strive for. That's why a lot of people, are moderators on this channel. But what I do is I actually wait until if I see them in a lot of the other chats, or if I've seen them around here a lot, then it's like, oh, okay, that I recognize who it is and all that, so I'll make them a moderator. Monsfield Railways, I don't think I've seen them around a lot, and also it sounds like they're also in across the pond. That doesn't disqualify him or them, because I'm assuming it's a guy, because a good portion of the hobby is guys, but there are women out there, and so in Monsville Railways that doesn't give a clue of what their gender is, but I would assume a guy. But it's like if Monsville Railways comes up a lot more. Oh, interesting. Round table and rhomboid. Yeah, I'm actually tempted to get a rhomboid, nice of the rhomboid t-shirt. But right now it's one of those things of turning around and getting start slowly building up my finance resources. Because living on unemployment, my finances have been going, it's like they're not necessarily straight across, but they are slowly going down. And where I'm at now, I will be, it'll be going up, not as fast as I would want, but it'll be definitely up. I never thought of that. I never thought that Pendragon was Welsh. That's a question for my sister, because she's the English major, and also probably has, being England and all that, she has also dabbled a little bit in Dragon Welsh. Well, that's, yeah, Dragon. All right. Now, what does the pen stand for? Now, from my understanding, my last name, which is Cady, Cady, one, there's 8 correct spellings for it. The oddest one is Kadae. but I read it somewhere where it stands for as "man who waits," which one of the variations, with an extra D or caddy. That's pretty much what a golf caddy does. It's like he waits for the golfer to do his thing and hurries his stuff. Um, so I was the information I got saying that it was English, but with the but the but the variant of it is Scottish and is an actual job description. So, Man of the Dragon, gotcha. I hate to say this, but then it's like, wait a minute, wasn't Dracula also supposed to be dragon? Dracula, dragon. Of course, that's a completely different language in a completely different part of Europe, and a lot more menacing. Now that's the red dragon on the flag, correct? That's one of the things that I watch. That has nothing. That doesn't have to do with anything with trains or model trains or anything like that. Is that I do watch some of the I want to say the English language. Yes. All right. Gotcha. Now with this is my ignorance and all that, but I know the Union Jack has the English cross, which I think is St. Andrews. Then you got the Scottish cross, which I believe is or is that St. Andrews? Then you got the Ireland, but for some reason Welsh is not on there. And I have seen someone did a thing of a proper Union Jack, which would actually have the Welsh dragon in the center, which would definitely be interesting. I mean, it's a lot better than just a bunch of straight lines. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. As I said, it's like they don't go on this side of the pod. They don't really go into details of stuff, but all right, it's a principality, not a kingdom. Gotcha. All right. So, learned something new today. But that also, from what I understand, that's the reason why future kings are the Prince of Wales, because that's a principality and that's the next step up, I guess. Okay, all right. I think I got it, or at least I believe I got it. I mean, there are times that. Well, I mean, for me personally, I'm not sure if it has to do with how other Americans think of Britain. Is that since it's, I guess the allure that I have is that it's so technically alien from what we have in the United States. It's like we basically throughout the all right, the last Prince of the Wales, and the Confessor made his son Prince of Wales after he gotcha. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to say that name because it's not English, so I would butcher it. I mean, it's not even, so the son of the monarch is the Prince of Wales. Gotcha. All right. Well, the oldest, I believe it's the oldest son uh, that is in line for the throne. Uh, I think recently one of the princes decided to go, nah, I'm not going to marry Owen Glyndor in English. Oh, okay. I can, looking at the spelling, I can see, how that would be. Uh, one of the one of the YouTube channels I've been looking at is Rob Words. Uh, he's a Englishman currently in Germany, and he goes through all the different, you know, how English became how it, is, how it's being used, uh, and those, things that, you know, every now and then he goes and says, hey, we should bring back, oh, the thorn, ruin or run, whatever it is, and all that. But it basically, a thorn looks like a T and a B, where the circles uh, intertwine. So so it has the line that goes up above on a B and goes down where there's a P also, but it makes the TH sound like the, you know. So it's, it can turn around. It's like add one word and all that, and then all of a sudden it's like you can get rid, all the sounds. It's like, instead of two letters, one. And apparently, when they started doing uh, yeah, it's like when they started doing the printing press. It was originally German, so there was no uh, the Roman alphabet didn't have the thorn character. So what they, what apparently what they did is that they turned around and they wound up using a Y, which is not necessarily close and all that, but you don't use Y for a lot of stuff. So they wound up putting the Y for that. Uh, so that's when you see Gaelic is hard to understand. Uh, well, from what I understand, English is not that great either. Uh, I would have to say I'm glad that I live in a place of auto not necessarily autocorrect, but spell check. Because there's times it's like, like, oh, the little red line on it. It's like, is it? Uh, See, autocorrect turns around and corrects stuff that's like going like, ooh, no, no, no. I actually wanted to mean it, spell it this way. Uh, but we, yeah, there was a couple of other Rob Words. I can't think of his last name, but he also does a podcast with Jess. Ooh, Sig, I can't think of her last name, but Tolkien said that the British language is Welsh, not English. Some may differ. Huh? Why did my task manager close? Right, sorry about that. My task manager decided to go. But yeah, I would have to. When it came to language, my sister was the one that was the the English major, the theater major, and I was like, everything that was, that had to do with communication. Me, on the other hand, I like building stuff, and hence that's why uh, what's that? New Token. All right. All these historic names have been given to Great Western Express. Like, oh, that I did not know. Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about keeping track of locomotives. Obviously, they at first they went with names because I'm assuming they did. You know, they did. You know, a lot of things is like it was started in what they used to do with horses. They would name a horse. You yell a name at a horse and all that. Say, oh, talk to me, and then it would walk over to you. I think eventually, well, in the United States, they happen to realize that calling out a locomotive by its name is not going to have it come to you. So that's why they went with numbers, because you're not trying to remember the name of the locomotive, but also how to spell it. Numbers is basically 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's my assumption. So that's why they went with that direction. But it also depended on what railroad it was. One of the things that I haven't really delved into that much, but trying to figure out how they identified locomotives before the white system. 4014 is quite a number. Yep. Because before the white system, which I was surprised to realize that I think it was in 1901 when it became standardized. They would call an American type locomotive an 8-wheeler. An 060 would be a 10-wheeler. But the thing is that they're counting all the wheels. The thing is that depending on what you're doing, technically a consolidation is a 10-wheeler. It's just that it's got 4 coupled wheels instead of 3. And I think that eventually wound up taking precedent. I know some other areas they go by axles, which makes sense. Which makes a little sense, but then when you get into monorails, that sort of throws that out the window. I'm actually curious about the. There are times that when they're talking about steam monorails, and then all of a sudden you see all the different styles there are. Yeah, basically, naming of the locomotive wheel arrangements. That was done. Like with the 440. That was because it was the most popular American style locomotive. That's why they went with that direction. Then you had the 10-wheeler. It's like because it's like it has 10 wheels, but the consolidate compound in UK. Yes. Does UK use the axles only? So instead of a 440, it'd be called a 220. But of course, then you got Vernell's decapod is. Decapod, I want to say, well, in the U.S., I think it's the 210. The 210 I think is called a decapod, and I think the switcher 010 is called a 10 coupled. Because all the switchers are either got the 4 coupled, the 6 coupled, the 8 coupled, and then the 10 coupled. I think there's a 12 couple out there. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this, but it's a 2-foot narrow gauge locomotive that has blind drivers on the ends and in the center. Only the ones in the sort of in the middle of the pack are actually has flanges on them. But it doesn't really, from what I understand, it doesn't go that fast, so it also is relatively stable. I could be wrong though. It was probably a Baldwin, and for some reason I'm thinking South Asia Island. But that's why. No, it's not articulated. It's it's 12 wheels right in a row. Very small wheels. It's like they're being a 2-foot gauge locomotive. It's like and it's not going. It's a definitely a freight locomotive, and so eek exactly. But apparently it was successful. I mean, I don't know how many they made. It was very few. It was a very small amount. But yeah, I think the most I've ever seen coupled together was 14, and usually they were not successful. 12 was basically the longest number you can get together that would mostly work, depending on what the situation is. But then you got the duplex locomotives, which are when you look at them, they look like a articulated mallet, but it's all one straight frame. I think the Pennsylvania Railroad was a fan of them. I think there's someone turning around trying to rebuild one of them, or rebuild one from scratch. The T1 Trust, I guess it's called. And that, if I remember correctly, was a 4-4-4-4, I think. But the thing is that it wasn't articulated, so it's basically a very massively long wheelbase. And they're also very not only it's a long wheelbase, but they're also large drivers on them, because it was if I remember correctly, it was streamlined, so it was designed for passenger service. But they also wanted to, one of the disadvantages with coupling wheels and all that, all of a sudden you got these side rods that wind up beating up the track. So if you have less side rods, the less beating it is and the faster you can go. So that's why they, all right, instead of having one set of pistons doing everything, we'll split them in half. It's twice as complicated, but it should be less wear on the track and all that. I forgot what there was a disadvantage with them. I think it was wheel slippage. I could be wrong. It's one of those things I don't quite understand what all the details were. But I would have to say the duplex is a lot better than what the Santa Fe had. Articulated, they had articulated mallet locomotives, which included an articulated boiler, which that didn't go well. It seems that for a while there, Santa Fe, from my understanding, was going some really crazier and crazier designs. And then my assumption is that they got somebody who was either in the motor department or heads up or something. They basically said, oh, hell no, we're stopping this nonsense, and we're just going to go with very simple locomotives. I think the only thing that was the only odd design. Well, hello there, Wigwag. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, definitely the articulated boiler was definitely a disaster waiting to happen because they, from my understanding, what they did. Well, Wigwag, you missed the announcement in the beginning, and that is that tomorrow I start a new job. Uh, my new job, it's not doesn't pay as much as I would like. However, my commute is about a 2-minute walk, so I'm not using my vehicle to go to work. So sort of kind of works out. The disadvantage is that it's second shift. So you will not see me on any of the live chats during the weekdays. Uh, but the thing is, being second shift, I have the same sleeping schedule as everybody else. So I would have to say I'm keeping this time slot uh, uh, for doing my Sunday night thing. Well, from what I understand, I'll be painting, and uh, I don't know the full details. I know when I this is the second place I've went back to working for. Years ago, I wound up working for Taco Bell twice, and Mac Molding is the second job that I've gone back to work for. Um, Technically, I'm working through JJ Young, which is employment agency. But I mean that's the way it is. But yeah, it's like in Arlington. There's actually two plants. When I first came here to Vermont, I was working for the headquarters, which is about 7/10 of a mile away, which was just long enough to, during the winter time, not really warming the vehicle enough to get it up to full temperature and get all the moisture out of it, the oil all where it needs to go, and all that. But now being a 2 or 3 minute walk away, it's like might as well just leave the you know it'll take longer to warm up the car, drive to the parking lot, find a parking spot, and then do that. So it's like might as well just leave the car there. I still have to use it once a week for Sundays, so the car won't be rotting away. So, but yeah, it's one of those things. It's a job. It's not probably what I would like to do. It's like I'd like playing with electronics and all that, and this is just playing with paint. So I'm not sure if that winds up helping up with my modeling skills. So that might be a plus, because I believe they probably use an air gun. I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow and give everybody an update next week. But sort of bring it back down around to trains. We were talking about wheel arrangements. I know there is a YouTube channel out there called America's Steam Legacy, where they actually went through every single wheel arrangement, why it was named the way it was, and what's the advantages of it, what's the disadvantages of it. They went into the USRA locomotives and how that thought process went through. But the thing is that eventually, getting to the point now, he's running out of wheel arrangements. I think one of the jokes that he put down is like, there's just some wheel arrangements that just do not make any sense. that it doesn't work. The wheel arrangement doesn't work. There's this one locomotive where I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's 4 coupled wheels with a pilot truck in between them. Instead of being instead of being out the front like in consolidation, for some reason the pilot wheels are somehow underneath the locomotive. I believe it was a French locomotive, but it's one of those things going like, yeah, that doesn't fit. Fit how the white system works, and it's one of those things that you turn around and say, all right, this is how they say it. Wow, free Challenger white metal kit. See for myself, I would be have to it's for free. It's like, ooh, this might be a possible project, because I do the I am a fan of the Delaware and Hudson, and their largest locomotives were Challengers. In fact, actually, the last Challenger, the last Challenger they got was 15. I want to say 39, because it's like they started at 500, and I think they ordered 40 of them. And it was unique. It was not only was the Delaware Hudson's last locomotive, but it also was their second welded boiler one. They did I think it was 12. It was a consolidation 12. 20. No, it can't be 25. 12. It was part of the 1200 series. I think it might have been 1209. I could be wrong on that. But they basically took the 1209, which was it was a Camelback consolidation, and when they turn around, they put an all new welded boiler on it, and then make it a rear cab. And I think it was a whole year that they used it as a stationary boiler, just to see how well it would work. There's a picture in Jim Shaughnessy's book on that, and it shows that it's like, I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, the interesting thing is that it looked like the whole entire locomotive was unpainted, except for the tender. The tender was like fully done up, so I'm assuming they just grabbed the tender off of somewhere and just threw it on there. That was already had the paint and lettering on it, and they turned around and after, I don't think it was a year, maybe 6 months. I forgot exactly the exact time, but it was a while that they tested it as a stationary boiler before they turned around and cut the cord and actually had it be used as a as a locomotive, and see how that wound up going. And that was successful enough where they turned around and then hey, you're ordering a big order of stuff and all that, do you want to try the last one with a welded boiler on? And from what I understand, it had no issues. There was a Challenger, I forgot the number of it, but there was one where, from what they understand, it was operator error. They let the water go too low in the boiler, and there was a boiler explosion. And they estimated when the sound sheet collapsed, of course, everything turned to steam, and it just it literally ripped the boiler off, and the boiler was sort of like, end over end, flying at least possibly they believe over they want to say the over 300 feet, and then landed on the tracks there. Hmm. And yeah, it's pretty scary when you see something along those lines. And then I guess when it landed, it stopped and all that, but the momentum of the train, the chassis wound up hitting hitting into the boiler, uh, because well, there was even though I think probably by it takes, yeah, I don't know how long the train was, but it took time for the emergency to kick in, and I think they weren't going fast because I believe it was a coal train or something like that. But I mean, they're still doing about 10 miles per hour. So even though it took time for the chassis to get to the boiler, I don't think it was enough time to have the emergency brakes go on. But trying to think who is on Sidetrack Sunday tonight. I want to say Missy. Is Missy tonight? All right, let's see if this comes up and says who's and what. It looks like Boxcar Jerry just stopped a little bit a while ago. Yeah, that's the thing is when you click on live, it says this is what's live now. It's like not what's scheduled to be live. All right, model trains. See if that shows up. It does not show. Let's see, how about rail fans? Yeah, technically it's not recently. Oh, okay, it does show up for live. Nah, it doesn't show. Oh, that's interesting. Now it's showing that Boxcar Jerry is still on. I don't know. But I think it's Missy to that. Oh, DB Tech. That DB Tech was usually the fifth one, but all right. Now it shows, yeah, DB Tech is the next one scheduled. All right. So we'll throw that up there. Well, 1 second. Well, that was a slight delay in sneezing. But all right. Well, I started a little early today, so as I said a little bit earlier, I wasn't 100% wanting to tackle the engine because that's the only thing that's holding me back right now. Is that trying to figure out how to regauge the engine so I could have something that actually runs on the broad gauge. And then after that, trying to figure out how I have figured out how to, or I believe I have figured out how to do broad gauge trucks. Basically, most of the a lot of trucks these days are in one piece, so you have to modify it and all that. But I believe LaBelle, that's the only one that I'm aware of where actually the trucks are actually in three pieces. So basically, I would turn around and make a new bolster and just add the side frames on it, and then figure out how to make longer axles. I might be able to Uh, might be able to get away with S gauge, uh, S gauge axles. Um, from what my research is that HOW6 is 1 millimeter narrower than S gauge. So I might cheat with, initially with the S gauge. S gauge trucks, probably have to figure out, it's like what would be, you know, okay, what is an S scale wheel? What's the size of it in, S scale? I'm assuming it might be a 28-inch wheel or something like that. Obviously it's going to be smaller. But the thing is that if you put it next to, I'm not, I would have to do calculations to figure out what size S scale wheel and get something close and then go from that. So I'm not too worried about that in particular. But it's probably should, figure out as soon so I can, send a thing off to Northwest Shortline and say, hey, I want this for the other. Another thing I was thinking of, which if I decide to start scratch building locomotives, maybe using a Stanley drive in the tender instead of direct driving on the locomotive. But don't know. It's one of those things of something I have to figure out, while trying to figure out how to how to make a broad gauge locomotive. I have asked our local AP director at the Hudson Berkshire division, hey, do you know anyone who does, is very fantastic with locomotives? I need to figure out how to, re-gauge the locomotives. I think I'm about 75% there. But, well, everyone, another one in the bag, I guess. Sorry that this was mostly talking head instead of actually, modeling. Just was not in the mood tonight. This was not in the mood. But I believe that the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. See everyone in the chats.